Hello, my name is Bruce Outridge. Welcome to another episode of Inspiring Youth. In fact, I got some news for you about this show, but we're on season 8 of our show, and I need to say this is our last show. Now, it comes with a heavy heart because I really enjoy doing the show. I love the people that I've met on this show, but this is going to be our last show. We have had such a great time on this show, but I'm getting older and I need more time, and so this is one of the things that we have to go. And I will tell you at the end, stick around to the end, because I'll tell you what's happening with Inspiring Youth, what I hope is going to happen with Inspiring Youth. But before we get to that, I thought I would share some things. So first, let's start out with the reason. Why am I stopping the show? Well, we've been doing the show for 8 years. It started back in 2016, and I thought that I would do this for a year or two. As you know, this show started through Halton Industry Education Council, HIAC as it's known to many people, and their Men and Career Coaches Night. I went to that event. I was introduced to Stuart Aker, who's the manager of Your TV, through another friend that was attending the event, the same, that they knew each other through broadcasting. Ended up sitting next to Stu by accident, just happened to be at that table. I was one of the presenters that night, and he said, you know what, come up with a show. He says, I think it'd be great for the network. I didn't understand that, didn't know what I was getting into, didn't know anything about it, but the idea of being on television, I had already started podcasting and doing some media. I hadn't thought about being on television at that time. And, you know, so I said, okay, we'll start. And we met. He has associated me with James Spalding, who was my cameraman at the time. And James is no longer there, but thank you, James, for all you did. And we started the show. And we were so inspired. Both Stu and I were inspired by not only who we met there, but the people that we were supposed to inspire were inspiring us. So it was a kind of a twofold thing, which is why we called the show Inspiring Youth. Since then, and I guess before we get to that, since then I've met some great people, but the one thing that it was meant to do was to showcase ambitious youth in the community and the community partners that work with them. There's a lot of ambitious youth, which I have found out through doing this show. A lot of them that I didn't understand were around there. I kind of thought that, you know, the younger generation was a little lazier, didn't want to work as hard, weren't kind of in tune with what's going on. Folks, I was wrong, and I'm sure you are wrong too if that's how you're thinking about the younger people today. There's a lot of ambitious people out there, there's a lot of smart people out there, and I was very surprised, and I keep being surprised as I've continued doing this show. So we're coming to an end. This is going to be the last show for me for season 8, but hopefully it will live on in the future, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I just wanted to take you through a little recap. The person that really inspired this show, if we could take one person, David Vandenberg. David Vandenberg was the MC that night at the HIAC event. I had never met David before that. At the time, he was, I believe, about 19, 20. He was, you know, had been asked to task. He was, you know, getting into his career going, and did an amazing job. Did a great job of relating with the crowd. Did a great job of relating with the young people, and had an inspiring story. And at that time, he was working a volunteer with a lot of community partners in the area. And I thought, you know what a great guy. Like, I was just really admired the way that he carried himself. You know, he would talk to you, and he wasn't talking like, you know, some of these people I know that are younger. We'll just leave that. You know, he really, you know, he stood up straight and he shook your hand, all those kind of things. I was really inspired by David. And because the show was born at HIAC, through Stu and I meeting there, I wanted David to be my first guest. So David was my first guest. If I had to pick one episode out of the 8 years that we've done this, I'm going to say episode 1 had to be the most important. We were in the studio in that year. It was the first. I wanted David to be my first guest because he was so important and so inspirational. And I was taking my daughter there to upgrade her computer skills, and the counselor there said, you'd be good at this HIAC event. I didn't even know what HIAC was. And they said, you'd be good at the HIAC event. And so she made a call for information for schools on reptiles and animals. They do parties, they do events, and they do a lot of educational camps throughout the summer. So we're going to find out how you get involved with animals, if that's what you like to do, how you run a company like this, what gets you started. I meet these people and then I start following them on social media, they're following me, and we start learning about each other, and I learn about all the good work that people are doing in the community.
And tell them, what Student Senate is doing about climate change, what the board's doing about climate change, and how the students themselves can be involved in the fight against climate change.
And
you met before.
Of just being able to be like that and say, okay, I'm ready to do what we need to do to make sure that we can still run an effective program for everyone.
But that's where it all starts, right? So how it starts is someone has to initiate the process. So whether that's the vocalist or the...
As you know, we've met a ton of community partners as we've gone through this program and through the years. We've worked with Haltech and Hayek, and we've worked with, I'm trying to think, well, there's so many, I can't even think of them all. But I have to pick one. There's one. We've been to Milton, we've worked in the arts, we've worked in musicians, we've worked with charities, we've worked with everybody. There's so many wonderful people, the Rotary. But I think if there's one that I had to choose from, and when I look at why I'm choosing them, there's a number of reasons. One, they were inspirational for the show. Two, they're actually working with the ambitious youth that we've got. And three, they've been on our show a number of times. So it's not just like they were inspiration and they've never been on the show. They've been on the show almost every year. In fact, I can tell you that after this, even though I'm ending the show from a personal standpoint, I have just signed up to work with Hayek in the future on through a different chamber organization. So I'm still going to be involved because I think what they're doing is important work. And when I think back to my teenage years, those are some of the most inspirational years. And unfortunately, sometimes that doesn't get the attention. It gets the attention for the wrong reasons. That is when kids need to start learning about careers. And a lot of times we're more worried about what they're doing on social media, which is important, but we're not trying to channel that energy into a career. So I like what they're doing. So I had to choose Hayek. I've chosen them as my career. Now Haltech and all the rest are doing wonderful things too. So I'm not saying that they're not doing their work, but when I look at the show and community partner that was most inspirational, most engaged, and also that worked with the audience, I think Hayek, Halton Industry Education Council has to be the one. So if I had to just name a favorite partner, hopefully I'm not messing anybody else out, I have to say Hayek is the community partner. Now, I also have to add Your TV in there because without them, we wouldn't even be there. And a special shout out to Stuart Aker, James Spalding, who's no longer there, and Laurie Henry, who's been so helpful and just a big part of my show, even if it's just saying, Bruce, we need your file this week. She's been great at that. So big thank you to all three of you for being so engaged in helping us do what we do, because I really do appreciate it. And I couldn't have done this, without their help and their influence and their expertise. And I know James was basically training me on TV back in the day when we started. Back in the day, like I know what I'm talking about. That's okay. Happens when you're old. But we had a lot of fun, and it's been a lot of fun. And I actually, we'll share with you shortly what's going to happen with me in the future. But that's what the show. So I had to think that. So I think I'm going to leave it here. So let's start with what's going to happen with me. First of all, I am leaving the show, so the show is going to go on. I don't know who's going to take it over. We have put some people, we have done some introduction, let's say, and hopefully I think there's a spot there. So I'm hoping somebody's going to come out with a show that is similar to this one, working with the youth, because I think that's very important, and I know Stuart thinks that's very important too. So I'm not sure what's going on there. We've made some introductions, so I'm hoping the show will live on for you. It may live on a different format, it may live on with different people, but I will always be I guess thinking of them and wishing them well, and I may be helping out if needed on a consulting style basis, but basically the show hopefully will live on with somebody else. Does that mean I'm leaving Your TV? Certainly not. I enjoy this way too much. If you do not know that, I have another show that runs in the summertime called Cashing In on Creativity. This is a show for artists, authors, musicians, anybody who's doing a creative style business, working from their talents. That show runs in the summertime. It started as a podcast back in 2018, I'm going to say. And I basically stopped it as a podcast when I started my radio station, Lead Pedal Radio. So because it was starting to overlap in content. And then Your TV picked it up for television, and so I stopped it as a podcast and started doing it for Your TV. So you're going to see more of a focus there, because that's where I'm going to start spending my time, because artists are where I find my time. I'm connecting with them regularly through my other work. So you'll still see me on Your TV, so still tune in. Look for Cashing In on Creativity is what the show is called, and that you will see. Look at your local listings for Your TV, and you can see it there. So that is I will still be here. Stuart, you didn't get rid of me that easy. Sorry, Laurie. And I still see James outside of the show on various events. So James still stuck with me too. So I'm still here, still working with Hayek. Hopefully, I will still always be connected to some of the great, ambitious youth that we've had in the community. I still see David at events and around town. So hopefully, that's not going to end, because I don't want that to end. That's been the pleasure part of the show. But as far as inspiring youth, it will live on maybe on YouTube or wherever you can find me. I'll still have a presence there, but the show, as far as going forward, it's going to go on either with somebody else or in a different format or whatever. So I would like to say thank you. I just want to say thank you very much for all of your years of support. Many of you recognize me in the neighborhood and say, hey, I like your show. In fact, I had someone the other day say, I haven't seen your show for a while. Yes, it's still on. Keep an eye on Your TV, and you can find out all the listings. Some of it repeats and all of that. And look for the new show. And I look forward to meeting you one day if I haven't met you already. And thank you so much for your support. To all of the Your TV staff, to all of the people who are viewing it, I appreciate it very much. And I hope we meet again someday. And thanks for all of your support. Have a great day, everybody. And remember, keep an eye on Your TV. Thanks for watching. We'll see you.